What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the RP Experience. I'm your host, Andrew Regenhard, and with Southwest Florida Real Producers, today we're going to be talking with Adnan Dedic, one of our top producing agents with Compass Realty. Adnan, it's great having you on. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
It's going to be awesome. So Adnan was actually born in Germany after his parents decided to flee Bosnia. Eventually, his family decided to move to the United States in upstate New York, which later led them to move down to the Sarasota area here in Florida. Adnan graduated from FGCU with a degree in health science. 4 years later, he decided to get into real estate and has been loving it ever since. Adnan enjoys innovating and creating, and that finds it to benefit him within the real estate world. So today we're going to be talking about new technology, new kind of a realm around the real estate, kind of that meta world that we've kind of heard and seen online. So we're excited to kind of dive in. So without further ado, Adnan, give the listeners a little up to date on who you are and how real estate's going for you.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously in this crazy market, real estate's been insane. Got in real estate about 5 years ago and kind of trickled my way up to be one of the top producers in the industry. Definitely a crazy experience overall, and obviously there's 22,000 agents from Sarasota to Naples, so it's super competitive. The way that I kind of made myself stick out and stand out is just the different ways of marketing that I do, and obviously everyone has their own separate ways. But I definitely incorporate a lot of technology to kind of expand my presence and grab as many sellers and buyers that I can.
That's awesome. Well, you're doing great. Adnan was actually featured a long time ago, about 2 years ago, as an up-and-coming rising star, and he's definitely surpassed that, and he's on the road to being in the top percent of the best. So pretty awesome to see your growth already.
Yeah,
so,
I appreciate that.
Now, you already dabble and very involved within the meta world, as they call it. First of all, can you explain what a meta world is?
Yeah, so the way everything is ran right now is in like a 2D internet aspect. So you type in a domain address, let's say google.com, and you're browsing Google like with you on the computer. The way the metaverse works is you actually have your own character inside the metaverse where you have your virtual VR glasses on. And with that character, you're actually in the so-called metaverse where you experience the domains in a 3D version.
Gotcha. So we're already in the meta world, or we've been in the meta world since the internet's been in existence, right?
Correct,
so,
yeah.
But in a two-dimensional. And
Exactly.
So what you're saying is pretty much the meta world now, with the virtual reality and everything like that, you're now in a three-dimensional in some sense, right?
Correct, yeah. And it's kind of trippy to say, but like when you have those VR glasses on, you can actually visit, let's say, Adidas.com, but with your own virtual character. So you're actually walking around the Adidas store in the virtual world where you can literally go grab a pair of sneakers, look at it, hold it, and feel it, and be like, wow, this actually could fit me. And then when you buy it, your metaverse character gets it, and then also they're shipped to your house for you to have them. It's kind of crazy to like think about and say, but that's what's happening right now.
I mean, it makes sense when you think about, okay, I'm going to go online.
Yep.
I'm going to look at these new shoes, right? And I can see them through my screen,
Yep.
right? But it is, again, like you said, two-dimensional. It's just right there. You can spin in the 360s or whatever, but that's cool. But the meta world is actually holding it and feeling it in a sense in some way, right? Obviously,
Correct.
It's not in your hands, but
Yep.
I see what you're saying. Interesting. So for the listener, what got you like curious about this meta world?
So in college, my junior year, I did an event. It was a Shark Tank event, and I ended up selling one of my inventions to one of the guys from Shark Tank. It was like a preliminary show. From there, I kind of picked up different colleagues that I hooked up with, and they all got me into the tech space, which is just growing like exponentially. And then from there, it was kind of like, crypto this, crypto that, and then all of a sudden, meta world came out of nowhere. And that's kind of how I got into it. Really starting off with Bitcoin and then being part of a crypto project here locally, and then just really expanding into that area.
That's awesome. So to transition from the meta world into the real estate world, it's not that much of a transition because it's almost they're working together, right? You've kind of been experiencing that. So what do you for the future of real estate and agents in general, do you predict this having a play, this meta world to have a play within real estate?
The way they're kind of focusing in on. So think about right now when you go look at a home on Zillow, right?
Yeah.
You can look at it like at a Matterport, or
Right.
you can look at photos or a video.
Right.
So with the metaverse, what they're literally doing is they're taking, let's say you take your house if you live in Naples or Fort Myers, and you can literally go to a metaverse designer and be like, put my house on a plot of land in the metaverse, and then you could link it and send it out to the general public. And if the general public has those 3D glasses, they can legit walk through your home and see every design and aspect of your home within the metaverse. So that way they're actually seeing the home in a virtual world, but they don't have to be here physically to actually experience what it looks like and kind of walk through the home and things like that.
So have you been able to see that in action yet?
I have, in a house in Miami.
Wow. Now,
And it's
curious,
crazy.
is Metaport, like or Matterport, excuse me, is that enough enough data or quality or whatever to be able to get it to a meta world like
No.
walkthrough? So
No.
so is this something that, all the photographers and videographers are gonna have to upgrade all this stuff, or like what's kind of like, what do you foresee the step for that?
You can't really just have a photographer or videographer do it. You need a developer to actually design it. So just like you have like a builder and architect here to build a physical plot of land and physical like real estate,
Yeah.
that same thing applies to the virtual world, where you need an actual like real estate virtual developer to design this home and build it for you.
That makes sense.
And a lot of people, the way they're doing it too is cars, for example. They can build you 3D cars in the metaverse, and you can drive them with a virtual set and like a virtual steering wheel, and you can see how that car actually operates like on a track. And then also boats as well.
So are you looking at this meta world as an addition to your current world, right? In your current life?
Yep.
Are you looking at this meta world as an alternative to your current world and current life?
Kind of, yeah. So it's super, super early stages right now. And I think it's going to be a couple years, I should say, before it actually develops into something. But I think whoever's on board now and kind of grasps the concept of it will be pretty set in the future.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is trying to understand it. Like, what is this? What am I even doing? Because if you actually like play in the metaverse, it's a video game,
right.
and the graphics are still kind of outdated, and they're not what they should be yet.
Right. Interesting, because a lot of people, when they talk about the meta world, they're like, why would I want this fake life? Why would I want this? Why not just do it in person or whatnot? So a lot of people are thinking of it as like an alternative. They can have a little studio apartment and, live in this crazy mansion online, or whatever it might be. So it's a very different, where others, you're saying, oh, like you can use it as shopping. You can go there and, pick out your, shoes, and then it's shipped to your doorstep, or your car, you test it out, and then you go, buy the car or whatever.
I mean, just think about how convenient everything is right now. So you go on Amazon, you type in what you want, and it's in your door within 24 hours, right?
Yep.
But like example right now, if you wanted to go to Lululemon, you're gonna have to fight the traffic, be at Lululemon in 30 minutes, and it's kind of pain in the ass to do that.
Yeah.
Versus what the metaverse is gonna be is you hop into your 3D glasses, you go to Lululemon virtually, you try on clothes, and you can see what they look like on you virtually, and be like, okay, I like these, and just place the order, and it's to your door within 24 hours.
Interesting. Crazy.
So it's just the whole convenience of it. I think that's what they're trying to. And I think it's a good thing, but also it's a bad thing because it's taking you away from the real world.
It is,
which is kind of sad.
Which we, sometimes you see that, especially with kids or whatever, they're so addicted to it. It's a pros and cons, because if it is the future, they're getting a head start by being involved in it at an early age.
Yep.
But at the same time, you're not experiencing the world.
Like,
right?
For example, my nephew, he's obsessed with Minecraft, and he knows everything about it. And that's literally what the metaverse is. And I told my sister, I was like, just let him keep playing this game, because if he understands the concept of this game and he actually understands how to play and create things in there, he'll be pretty successful later in life, because that's where everything is going, is all virtual.
So what is a metaverse realtor, and do you think it's going to be the future in selling real estate?
I think it will be, to be honest with you. So you can buy metaverse plots or lands or houses on a couple exchanges. The most popular one is Decentraland. But it's really confusing for like someone that doesn't understand it. You go into Decentraland and you're like, what am I buying? I'm literally buying a pixel of a square, right? So with the metaverse realtor, it's just like a real estate agent. They're going to tell you where you want to buy based on location, and location's everything. So in the metaverse, you want to be closest to the big hubs. And if you're the closest to the big hubs, that's where the most traffic is going to flow through. Just like, in Naples, you want to be west of 41, or even Fort Myers, west of 41, or close to the beaches. Same thing applies to the metaverse. You always want to look for location.
Makes sense. So how can you buy a piece of land in the metaverse?
Again, you can go to Decentraland and just kind of find
So
something.
just like, you know,
and then
for $5 or how much?
the least expensive one kind of goes for 2,500. The most expensive plot of land sold for 6.5 million.
6.5 million.
6.5 million for a plot of land.
But it's not a plot of land. It's like a
plot of virtual land.
It's like an IP address.
Pretty much, yeah. So think about how much like Google.com is worth right now, right? Or Nike.com. It's probably worth tens and tens of millions of dollars. But now apply that to an actual 3D version of a domain instead of a 2D. And that's the same thing like if you went on GoDaddy and you somehow stumbled upon Nike.com. If you had that domain and Nike wanted it, you could sell it to them for $20-30 million.
Correct.
So think about now if you're buying a 3D version of a plot of land and you owned it in 10 years from now, what that's going to be worth?
Oh my gosh. 6.5 million though.
6.5.
There's some nice houses here
For
in Naples.
6.5 million, right? That you can actually be in
You
and
can
have
be
people
in,
over.
enjoy, not put a headset on.
I mean, think about even like the NFTs. And I think that's where the future is going to go because the NFT tech is incredible. But like NFTs, little JPEGs of like a monkey or like an ape, those are selling for, $2 to $10 million and people are buying them. And it's just literally a photo. So what's going to happen eventually is right now, if you think about your home, you have just a 2D version of a photo and that's stagnant, right? So what's going to happen eventually is you're going to have photo frames all around your home and it's going to be a thing where people project their NFTs into those photo frames. And it's going to be kind of like a contest where like you walk into your friend's house and your friend can be like, look at the NFT I just bought and let it go from their phone and throw it up on the photo frame in their home. And you can kind of change the photo frame based on the theme like of a party that you have. So let's say you have a Super Bowl party and you have 10 frames around your home and you were a Packers fan. You're going to want to throw Packers logos all around these photo frames so it can be like a Packers themed party. So instead of a stagnant, photo where you just it sits there and just playing on the wall, now you can change it every single day to whatever you want.
Interesting. All right.
It's crazy.
So walk us through, if I was like, man, I believe you. I want to buy this plot of land in the metaverse and this decentralized whatever, right? How do I do that? Do you take credit card? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's the process?
Yeah.
What does that entail?
So you got to convert it either to Ethereum or Bitcoin.
Okay,
and
so
then there's
crypto,
also Decentraland has their own currency, and so do the other different plots of providers. But usually Ethereum works the best. You buy Ethereum, you transfer it over to your MetaMask wallet onto the internet, and then from there you can purchase anything you want on Decentraland. Your MetaMask wallet is pretty much like a credit card.
So it's like a credit card for the crypto world.
Yep.
Interesting. So you're obviously very passionate about it.
Yeah.
And you think it's going to grow. So I think I already know the answer, but do you think investing in the meta world or metaverse is a good or bad investment?
I mean, obviously it's always a risk, but it makes you want to think too, like what is the reason that crypto.com bought the Staples Center for the next 20 years? And they spent close to $1 billion on that. What's the reason that Facebook went to the Meta instead of Facebook anymore? Even like Bill Gates and like Jeff Bezos, they're all approaching the metaverse and everyone's like, oh, it's still, too far ahead. I don't want to be part of it now, but it's like you be part of it now and 10 years down the road, it could be worth millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And the metaverse right now is worth, close to $1 trillion. So it's why not be part of it and take the risk? Even if you spend 10 grand, 10 grand is a lot of money to, a lot of people. But if you have the money, you can spend 10,000 on a plot of land and just hold it. That could be worth, $1 million to $2 million within 5 years. I've seen crazy things happen where you buy, small crypto coins that people don't even know
the
about.
Bitcoin. I mean, look at that, right?
Yeah.
People are like, oh my gosh, it's cents, dollars, whatever, and now it's 40,000 or whatever.
Yeah, I know people that bought Bitcoin. I had a buddy of mine who's a developer, and he bought Bitcoin when it was like $50, and he still has Facebook statuses on his Facebook where it's like buy Bitcoin now, and people laughed at him because like, what's Bitcoin? But he used to have like in his AOL chat room. Bitcoin parties where whoever was in his chat room, he'd make it rain Bitcoin. So if there's 10 people in this chat room, he'd literally throw 50 to 100 Bitcoins to each person.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So imagine how much that's worth now. It's just
raining millions.
Exactly.
Literally.
Pretty much.
Jeez. Interesting. So I bet everyone's going to ask, do you have a plot of land in the meta world?
I have a couple.
There you go.
A couple plots of land.
Investing.
Couple of bigger pieces away from the hub and then some that are closer to the hub.
Nice.
And obviously you can develop whatever you want on them, houses, boats, cars, whatever you want. But my whole thing is, my strategy really is to hold it and then eventually sell it off to like a larger corporation like Nike, Adidas, one of those guys, because they're going to want the foot traffic that comes through the hub. And whoever comes through the hub is going to explore these different domains or worlds. But they're going to end up building like their stores on there. So when people walk their characters around those stores, they're going to see, Nike.com, Louis, Gucci, all that fun stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Wow. Well, we could sit here and talk about
there's
meta
so
worlds
much
for a
about it.
long time, but there's 3 questions that all guests get asked, and so I'd love to hear your answers to it. The first one is, how has a failure or apparent failure set you up for a later success, and do you have a favorite failure of yours?
There is one that kind of set the whole path in my life, and that was when I played basketball in high school. I dislocated both my ankles. And I always thought, back then, like, what was the reasoning for that? Because, I had offers to go play college ball, was going to go play college basketball. And then all of a sudden, that happens. And it's like, what do I do now? And that kind of positioned me to kind of think more inside and within. It's like, what can I accomplish myself? And I think if that never happened, I never would have been so successful in like the outside world with like tech or real estate. I would have known basketball, and that's all I knew at the time. Like I never really studied school. All I cared about was basketball. Yeah. So that kind of expanded my horizon to figure out who I actually was, and then kind of go out there in the world and accomplish what I actually can.
That's super cool. It's amazing. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, or you've just lost that focus temporarily, what do you do? How do you overcome that?
So I love nature. So just being outside, whether it's with my dog or just taking a walk, and just like, I'm a big part of like meditating. So whenever I feel kind of lost, stressed out, just anxious, I'll go outside and just lay in the grass with my dog and just hang out, and I kind of like regenerate that way.
Interesting. Love it.
Yeah.
What are some bad recommendation or advice that you hear in the industry? And this can be real estate, it can be better world, it can kind of get people.
I think my biggest pet peeve about the whole real estate industry is you never obviously want to tell your clients that they got the house until you see a written contract. And I don't do this personally, but I know some agents that do, where they'll be like, hey, Andrew, your clients won the offer. Congratulations. But, I still didn't send you the contract, and I'll tell you, we'll send you the contract in a couple hours. And a couple hours goes by, and then you get a text message, hey, sorry, Andrew, someone else beat you out. And it's like, you just told me we got it, and I already told my clients. So I know a couple agents who've done that to me, and it's kind of shitty, to be honest, where it's like, why would you tell me that? And then all of a sudden get everyone excited and then say something else.
Right.
Don't say it until you have it in writing. Don't tell your clients anything until you have it in writing.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't, count your chickens before they hatch?
Exactly.
Something like that?
Yep, exactly.
All right. Interesting. So, Adnan, it's been, time has flown by. I would love to keep chatting. I now have a million questions and a lot of research about this decentralized land and all this meta world that I want to definitely pick your brain a little bit more about. I'm curious. I've been a nerd when I was younger as well, and definitely was always tech forward.
Yep.
So I'm curious on what's going on. Look forward to chatting with you a little bit more. But thank you again for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
I appreciate it, Andrew. It was a great time.
Yeah. So, as always, the RP Experience is extremely thrilled to have you on here. We're here at the Venture X podcast studio. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. See you guys.
See you guys.